welcome back to Bryan.
Yeah, thanks, Jono.
Thanks for coming on again. I think you're stepping in for your wife this time around, aren't you?
Yep, so this is her car. Yep.
The Mazda 3 is her daily drive?
Yeah.
Good, good. Now, do you remember when you purchased that one?
We would have got that at a similar time to the Golf because we just got back from overseas. So I think we picked that one up, or you picked it up for us before we got back. And then once we got back, it was clear we needed two cars because we had two different workplaces. So yeah, we looked for another small car to help her get about.
And it was a little newer, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's 2016.
2016, and how much did it have on the clock in terms of kilometres?
About 20,000, I think, around that.
Okay, what's it sitting on now?
Oh, probably about 50, 60. I'd have to have a look, but yeah, somewhere around there.
So a lot less Ks than your other car?
Yeah, it does the weekly stuff, but on the weekends it sits in the garage.
Okay. So is that your choice at the time, or more so your wife's?
I think she was after a Mazda. She liked the Golf, but I think she wanted that reliability of the Mazda and something a little bit newer as well.
Okay, great. All right, in terms of styling, was it a winner for her?
I guess so. She picked it, so she must have been pretty happy with it.
What about yourself?
Yeah, I'm not too fussed. So yeah, it does what it needs to do. Looks all right.
Great, all right. Well, we're interested in doing a bit of a comparison too between your two cars.
Yeah.
So we'll get your help with that a little later on, but for now we'll look at the Mazda in isolation, if that's okay.
Yeah, no, all good.
All right, let's take a closer look. Right, let's take a look at the cargo space. The official figures from Mazda, just over 300 litres. So the swooping lines of the Mazda obviously take a little bit away from the space compared to your other car.
Yep.
Have you found it useful?
I actually thought it had more, so I'm surprised to hear that it has less than the Golf. I think it's a bit wider, which gives it that perception.
Yeah, so it's got a wider mouth, but I think it's cutting off the corners there, so I don't get quite as much. I see you can still get a couple of car seats for my boys in there.
Yeah, we can get the two. There's one in there at the moment. We can also get the two bikes. I think they're probably a better fit. The width helps with the two bikes. And we have put the kayaks on the roof, but for just whatever reason, they seem to sit a little bit better on the Golf.
Yeah, and those seats come down again too, don't they?
Yeah, they fold down, so you get that nice hatchback open space at the back.
And what is it like to drive?
It's good enough to drive. It's smooth. It's probably the gear shift isn't as smooth as the Golf because it's just got the single clutch, so you get that typical auto high rev at times, but it's reliable and slightly less power, but enough for what you need.
So a 2-litre 4-cylinder petrol powering the Mazda. In terms of fuel economy, 5.8 I think from Mazda. Do you know what you're getting and what your wife's normally getting?
Yeah, I think it probably sits around the 7 mark. It's a bit hard because I suppose the long-term one has what it came with, which is in the high 7s. And I think it's sort of seen down in the low to mid 7s now. But yeah, we definitely notice a difference on the highway compared to the Golf.
And this is not mostly urban driving with this one, I think.
Yeah,
So you don't take it on the longer trips typically.
Not usually, no.
So while we're in here, Brian, let's have a look at the spare wheel.
Yep.
Should be under the floor there. So it looks like a space saver in the Mazda 3. It's becoming more and more common these days. It looks like you haven't had to get it out at all.
No, we haven't had to use that one yet.
Brand new. All right, well, let's take a look at the interior. I'll be keen to get the three of us in there to see how it stacks up in that second row.
Yep.
All right, let's give it the 3 grown men test in the back row here. And shove along, Brian. So a couple of us are a bit over 6 foot. Nice in there as well. Can we all buckle up? Bit of a squeeze. Where's my buckle? There we go. I might have taken your buckle.
You might have. Oh no, there it is.
Good thing we're all friends. Family.
I'm not even going to try the seatbelt because I don't want to get that intimate.
Oh, you can do it.
Well, you've got a bit of headroom there. Not so much for me.
You would have been better in the middle, Jono.
Yeah, I would have squeezed in the middle. Oh, so not the most comfortable place for 3 adult men. But certainly fine for a couple of kids.
That's doable.
Okay, Brian, let's pop the hood and have a look under there. Back into position.
At least I knew where it was.
You've already talked us through the economy figures. How about maintenance? So Japanese cars, Mazda in particular, they have a good reputation for reliability. Have you guys found that during your ownership?
Yeah, I think so. We've not really had any major issues with it, just the usual servicing and the costs associated with that.
Yep, so what's the schedule for servicing? 6 monthly or 12 monthly with the Mazda?
Yeah, I think it's more the 12 monthly. I think 15,000 Ks again, but as this doesn't get driven as much, it lasts that little bit longer.
And you're still taking it to your local mechanic, you're not going through a Mazda dealership?
Yeah, no, just at the local mechanic. I think it's usually a bit cheaper that way.
And a ballpark figure?
Probably around 300. Again, some are less, some are more, depending on what they need to replace and whether they need to do oil, etc.
Yeah, around 300 for a minor service. Any maintenance items that have come up over the last few years?
Nothing major, no, just the usual standard replacement. I don't think we've ever had to bring it in because a radiator's blown or anything like that.
Okay, but you haven't done the mileage you have on your other car?
No, it gets treated a bit more gently as well.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So Brian, behind the wheel, I know it's not your daily drive, but what are your thoughts driving the Mazda?
Yeah, it's not a bad drive. I don't have my phone connected up to it, so I suppose I don't have that ease of access there. I think you need to use voice control, and there's a bit involved to set that up. But in terms of driving, it gets me from A to B. It's smooth, it's reliable, it's not too noisy. Yeah.
So what about handling? Got any opinion on that?
Yeah, I think it's maybe possibly a little softer than some other cars that I've driven, but not to the point that I'd complain about it. It's got the stop-start, so when you're at the traffic lights, the engine turns off, saves a bit of fuel there.
Yeah, well, do you like that feature?
I do like that feature. I think it's good to save fuel. I know there's some, I suppose it puts more strain on the battery, but I don't think we've had that battery replaced since we bought it.
Noise and comfort levels?
Yep, the seats, I think the material is possibly a little bit plasticky, but again, the comfort's there. It doesn't make you sort of sweat or anything. And the noise-wise, it's fairly quiet inside. You can still hear the radio and have a conversation. It doesn't impact on what you're doing.
Any significant wear and tear inside or out at the moment?
Not that I've noticed, no, other than the occasional scratch here or there that comes from daily use.
Right, so that's a plus for build quality.
Yeah, no, it's held up for the time that we've had it.
So it sounds as though, Brian, when you bought this car, you set out looking for something that was solid, reliable and dependable. The Mazda 3 often fits that bill for people. Has it done so for you?
Yeah, I'd say so. It meets all those specs that you put out there.
Anything that could be improved upon in your view?
I think maybe a little bit more power wouldn't go astray, and the smoothness of the engine I think could be improved if it had a dual clutch or something like that. And yeah, other than that though, I think it does what it needs to.
Yeah, I think Mazda only has the traditional gearboxes on offer. There are some bigger motors floating around these days, or the performance-orientated turbo model. But of course, this being the Mazda Neo comes with the base engine and gearbox setup. In terms of a score out of 10, what would you give the Mazda 3?
Oh, look, it's treated us pretty well. I'd say maybe a 7.5 out of 10.